What's up, awesome YouTubers? Ryan1988 or Justin back here to do a video for you guys, and today I'm here to do a review on a documentary. I think it's very fitting for Pride Month, and I highly recommend checking it out. By the way, once again, happy Pride, happy June to you all. But this documentary I'm going to be talking about is available on DVD, but you can also check it out on the website or the app Shudder, which I need to get that. I'm a horror movie fan. Slumber Party Massacre right there. Big horror movie fan. I love scary movies, so I need to get that. But this documentary is available on that website, and it's highly recommended. I highly recommend checking it out. I don't know where I was going with that. I highly recommend checking out the documentary. You know, I absolutely love it. I've seen it twice now. And the documentary I'm going to be talking about is Scream Queen, My Nightmare on Elm Street. Which, if you don't know what Scream Queen is, it is about Mark Patton, who was the star of A Nightmare on Elm Street 2, Freddy's Revenge, one of my absolute favorites of the franchise, and pretty much kind of about his life, you know, from an early age, when he talks about when he realized he was gay, which was at the age of 4, moving to New York to, then pursue an acting career there, and then moving to LA, where he would eventually get A Nightmare on Elm Street 2. And then once A Nightmare on Elm Street 2 came out and the harsh criticism came out not only on the movie, but about him, he decided to leave acting behind, for other reasons as well, but Nightmare on Elm Street 2 was, what he says in the documentary, is what destroyed his acting career. So, for a long time after Nightmare on Elm Street 2, he, wasn't found. No one knew where Mark Patton went. I remember seeing Nightmare on Elm Street, rewatching Nightmare on Elm Street 2 when I was 16, and this is way before, anybody knew where Mark Patton was. And I always loved the character of Jesse, and I still love Mark Patton. And yeah, it was always something for me as well, like, knowing where he went. He didn't do anything after Nightmare on Elm Street 2. And it wasn't until the 2010 documentary Never Sleep Again that, Mark Patton appeared again. And it was the directors, Roman and Tyler. I don't want to pronounce their last names wrong, so I'm just going to say their first names, Roman and Tyler, who tracked him down in Mexico, where he was living, a life outside of acting, and pretty much just living a peaceful, quiet life, working at a shop that he owned. And then they found him, and he did the documentary, and the fame that Mark, once had as an actor, came back, and there was a whole new fan base for Nightmare on Elm Street 2 fans and for Mark Patton. And the documentary kind of ends with Mark Patton, coming face to face, sitting down with the writer David Chaskin, who for a long time blamed Mark Patton's acting in Nightmare on Elm Street 2 pretty much blamed his acting when it came to the harsh criticism that Nightmare on Elm Street 2 had. He said for the longest time that he did not write, the gay undertones and gay elements in the film. It was all Mark Patton's acting that, really is how people saw the movie back then. And it wasn't until later on that David Chaskin came out and was honest about him actually writing that stuff in there and how it was purposely in the film. And so Mark gets to sit down with him at the end of the film, or at the end of the documentary, and he gets that apology that he wanted from David for a long time, because the criticism of A Nightmare on Elm Street 2 really hurt Mark Patton. It was really sad in the documentary there was one moment in the documentary that really made me sad, and that was when Mark first Googled his name after a long time, because he didn't really, after Nightmare on Elm Street 2 came out, he really put that part of his life behind him, And so when he Googled his name and he saw all these negative comments and seeing it, you know, just in the documentary, all those comments was really hurtful. I mean, it almost brought tears to my eyes, because I almost kind of can relate to, you know, being picked on in middle school and high school for, you know, at that time, people just assuming I was gay and not really getting to know me and know me as a person. It was always, you know, I'm just going to assume and I'm going to, you know, call him this and call him that. So when it got to that part of the documentary, it was really sad. I was you know, almost in tears. Very, very sad part of it. I think Mark Patton is one of the kindest people I've known, or I've met. I've met him twice in person with the conventions that he's done. He's a sweetheart and a humble person and a very kind person, and I know when people meet him, they just have the best time. I love Mark. I love the documentary because it doesn't just focus on A Nightmare on Elm Street 2 and the making of, you know, it focuses on, you know, times in his life. Again, early stage as a kid, you know, talking about the 80s and the AIDS epidemic that happened, losing a loved one during that time. Talking about how, you know, when you were an actor or an actress in the 80s, and if you were gay, you had to hide that part of you, because especially during that time, if you were trying, especially if you were trying to put your foot in the door and pursue an acting career, if people, you know, found out you were gay, your career was over pretty much, or you were typecast a certain way. And for Mark, when A Nightmare on Elm Street 2 came out, you know, he got a lot of that, you know, people, you know, telling him, hey, you got to put on this persona, or, you know, he was going to be typecast as just one type of character. And so he left acting after that. There's so many details in this documentary. I think it's wonderful. If you're a Nightmare on Elm Street 2 fan, if you love Mark, this is one to definitely check out. I'm glad I own it. I love it. You know, it's a great documentary, but it's emotional. Again, moments where I was tearing up, just hit home in some ways for me. You know, growing up myself, you know, I didn't come to terms that I was gay until, you know, 2012, but always in the back of my mind, I knew I was, and I knew I liked men, and, you know, I knew I had my crushes. And, you know, then growing up in high school and middle school, being picked on, being teased, because, again, people just wanted to assume I was gay without really getting to know me or even asking me, was really tough. Those were hard times for me. And again, you know, I didn't come to terms that I was gay until 2012, and it wasn't until 2014 that I came out myself. But going back to this documentary, it's an awesome documentary. I absolutely love it, and it is one to check out. If you're a fan of Mark Patton, definitely do so. Awesome guy. I love Mark. I love you, Mark. If you're watching this, you are fantastic. It's always a pleasure seeing you. But check out Scream Queen, My Nightmare on Elm Street. Again, you can pick up the DVD, or if you have Shudder, or if you want to get Shudder, it's going to be available on there. So check it out this month for Pride. Happy Pride to you all. Happy June. I hope you're all doing well out there, staying safe. Happy Wednesday to you all. And stay tuned for more videos to come. I have a lot more videos to come soon, and look out for those, guys. Again, check out Scream Queen. Amazing. So anyway, guys, you guys have a great day. As always, you guys are awesome. You guys rock. In with the positive, out with the negative, and go eat some Skittles. All right, guys. Bye. Love ya.